guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday. It's time for a Q&A. This is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. Now, first of all, I did make an announcement about this on the community post on YouTube, but I have to apologise. There was no Q&A last Sunday. Instead, I put up a new review show revisited. The reason is I was out the country for a week and I didn't have time to film the Q&A before I left. I thought I might be able to have time while I was abroad. Unfortunately, it was so busy what I was doing that it was just impossible to film the Q&A. So I contacted my office, we put a different video up, and this is going to be a bumper Q&A answering all the questions. So I apologise, I'm very, very sorry. It's very rare that I don't hit an episode. But what I was doing abroad was very, very important. Anyway, I'll try not to miss any of these moving forward. Don't forget, I don't plan the answers to these questions. I literally am spontaneous with them. So I read them and I come up with the answers off the top of my head. If I think it will make a meatier video, I will actually do a meatier video on that subject at some point down the road. And please remember to get your questions in by sort of a Tuesday or a Wednesday at the absolute latest, because I tend to film these on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. If I miss your question, I'm very sorry. Ask it below and I'll get back to it the following week. With that in mind, there's a whole bunch of questions by the looks of it, so we're going to get straight into it with this week's Q&A. So the first question is from Stephen Peters and a bunch of other people saying, does anyone know what happened to the Q&A for the last week? Did he take the week off or is he not doing them anymore? Like I said in the intro, I'm really sorry. I had no choice. There was no physical way I could do the Q&A last week. Normally I'll stay up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning if I have to, but it was just impossible. So I apologise and I promise you I will get to it next week. Okay, so the next question is Kendall Thompson, and Kendall Thompson says, hey Craig, I'm a big mem deck fan, but at times when the stack is destroyed, it's great to have an arsenal of borrowed deck tricks on hand. Besides Ambitious Card, what are your top 5 go-to impromptu, no setup card tricks? Thanks and keep pumping out the great content. Cheers. I'm doing a video about this in the future, so it might change in the video when I've given more thought on it, but literally off the top of my head, I'd say my top 5 impromptu card tricks, top 5 impromptu card tricks. I'd say in no particular order, I'd say Threesome by David Jonathan, which you can actually buy as a download from his website, is incredible. Threesome is awesome. I would say my version of Triumph, which is on my Penguin Live and also on the Netrix, is great because you start off with a very clean in the hands Triumph, then there's a 4 of a kind production, then there's a deck vanish, which is pretty cool. Then I'd say Cards Across, sort of the classic Cards Across where there's no setup required, and it's the cards jumping from one place to another. That's a great one to go for. Then Pete Turner's version of Out of This World that uses half a deck and no setup. That's really, really cool. And then I'd say Card to Pocket. I do a repeat Card to Pocket. It's called Card to Pocket Extreme, which again you can learn off the Netrix. And that's a really cool card to pocket style routine, and again requires no setup and you can do it anytime, anywhere. So off the top of my head, those are the 5 that I would say, but when the big video on this subject comes out, it might change around a bit, but off the top of my head, those are the ones that I tend to go to when I'm in a situation where I've got a regular deck and no gimmicks and no setup. I want to go into something that will blow people away. Next question is from Divi Rayon. Divi says, can you do a video on the House and Wise, the Muscle Pass? Because you mentioned in a video that there are many other uses for it. Can you list some of the uses, please? Yes, absolutely. I'm just in the middle of filming the House and Wise and the Thumb Tip, which a lot of people have been asking for. When I've done the Thumb Tip video, I will get onto the Muscle Pass video. That's actually a really good idea because there is a ton of stuff you can do with the Muscle Pass. So yes, absolutely, I will get to that for you. No problem at all. Okay, so the next question is from Justin Hutchins, and Justin says, hi Craig, I'm sure you've probably had this question before. If you were only allowed to perform one packet trick for the rest of your life, what would it be? It would be Blank Stupidity or Blank Nonsense. It's had different names over the years. It first got published on my DVD Blank about 15 years ago. It's also on the Netrix, and it's also part of the Blank Deck project, which is available from RSVP online. So it's available in 3 different places. It's great because it makes such an awesome opener. There's so much magic happening. You've got, 4 cards that are blank on both sides. The back's print, the face is print. Then everything vanishes, including the cards. It's a 2-3 minute routine. And in those 2 or 3 minutes, you've got sort of 10 or 15 moments of magic. I love that routine. I really, really do. If you're talking about a packet trick that's not my own and it's somebody else's, I would probably go for Twisted Sisters by John Bannon, the original, not Duplicity or Duality or whatever it's called. The original Twisted Sisters, I still think, is a masterclass in how to do sleight of hand with cards, even though there's hardly any sleights. It's just a great packet trick. Okay, so the next question is from Sean Undertrack, and Sean says, your review show is probably my most anticipated video of the week that you and Ryland do. Thank you very much. If there was a product I'd like both of you to review, where can I post a request for you to do so? Sometimes there's older or less publicized tricks that I'd really like to get your feedback on before I purchase. Just leave it in the comments to the review show. What Michael, who is in my marketing department, what he generally does is if somebody leaves a comment in there, he will let me know. So he'll let me know. So if I don't see it myself, Michael will. So yeah, if there's a particular thing you want me or Ryland to review, just leave it in the comments to the latest review show, and one way or another it'll get onto our radar, and we'll either do it as a review show or a review show special, or perhaps even a mini review, or something on a 5x5 or a hidden gems. But one way or another, we'll look at it for you, no problem at all. Okay, so the next question is from Anthony DeLongpre, and Anthony says, question for Craig, were you ever a David Copperfield fan, and do you have favourite effects of his? I've recently found his specials on YouTube. I was a touch too young to have seen them and didn't realise how many there were. The appearance at the end of Explosive Encounter and the Vanishing Train Car are particularly beautiful. Yeah, you know what, I've always been a David Copperfield fan. When I was young, and I am old enough to remember the specials, although I was always kind of gravitated more towards the Paul Daniels specials than the David Copperfield specials. I don't know why. But the things that, and I need to rewatch them to be honest, but the things that stand out for me are his handling of the dancing cane, and from Big Illusion's point of view, walking through the Great Wall of China, and then his flying illusion. I mean, his flying illusion is absolutely amazing. There's so much that David does, and he does so well, but those are the ones that I think stand out in my head. But yeah, I think I was more of a Paul Daniels specials type of guy than David Copperfield, but I do remember watching and enjoying the David Copperfield specials back in the day. Okay, so the next question is Grok Magician, and Grok says, hi Craig, thanks for all the time and effort you are sharing with the magic community. You're an everyday watch for me, and I've learned so much from your channel. Thank you very much. I know that you're very busy, but have you looked at the trick that Tyler Lunsford shared with you recently that used your EDCeight principle? If you have, please contact me as soon as you can. I greatly appreciate it. I've got a whole bunch of stuff to catch up on, Grok. I've been away for like 7 days out of the country, and I've literally just not stopped. I've barely even looked at my phone. So I'm filming this. I've just got back to my house after being away for a week. So I'm filming this right now. Tomorrow I'm planning on getting up to date with all of my messages and emails. I think it's going to take a day to do so. So if you've sent me something, or if I've seen something, I promise I'll get back to you. Okay, so the next question is from Chris Ash, and Chris says, thanks for your answers, and yes, you were correct with the purse palm. Also, shameless plug for the VMC masterclass. If David Jonathan has anything to go by, then wow. Yeah, I mean, for those of you that don't know, as part of the silver level of the Netrix, every month, as well as all the VMCs and everything else you get as a silver member, we're also having a masterclass. And the first masterclass was from David Jonathan, and it was 4 hours of incredible teaching. It was one of my favorite lectures that I've ever seen, ever. And the beautiful thing is when you become a silver level member of the Netrix, it's there. It's there for you to watch. All of the masterclasses are being kept right there inside the Netrix. So when you join the Netrix at silver level, you get access to all the past VMCs, all the past masterclasses, all of the hundreds of routines that are online. And so you can access David's masterclass immediately just by going onto the Netrix, and it was great. And April, we've got someone that's I'm not going to say even better, but it's going to be just as good as David. It's going to be incredible. I'll be announcing that in the next day or two. But you've actually got a question, haven't you? So that was just a compliment, thank you. If you could only have one set of coins that are limited to 7 coins, including gaffs, what would the contents be? If you could only have one set of coins that are limited to 7 coins, including gaffs, what would the contents be? My gosh, that's a really great question. I'd have 3 regular coins for sure. So I'd have 3, and it'd be dollar size. I'd have 3 regular coins. I'd have a flipper. I'd have a flipper. I'd have a split coin. So I'd have 3 regular coins. I'd have a matching flipper. I'd have a matching split coin. So that's 5. I'd have a shell, which is 6. And if I'm going to have a shell, I'd make it a magnetic shell, and you'd throw Apparition in there. So I'd have a Chinese coin as well, which is 7. So I'd have 3 regular silver dollars. I'd have a flipper coin and a split coin, and all of those would fit inside a shell, which is a magnetic shell, which I could use with Apparition. And then the 7th coin would be a Chinese coin, so I could do wild coin style routines, or I could do anything from the Apparition set with those 7 coins as well. That is what I would do. Okay, so the next question is again from Chris Ash, and Chris says, can we expect more coin sets from you? Answer, yes. A lot of my coin stuff that I'm doing at the moment is going out through Alakazam. So I bought out the Mirage coin set Extreme in 2022, got launched at Magic Live, and then 2023 we bought out Apparition, which has been incredibly successful. I've shot another coin project with Alakazam. That's shot and in the bag. You couldn't really class it as a coin set. It's more of a coin trick. It's not a coin set, it's a coin trick. Big difference. But it's an amazing coin trick, but it is just a coin trick. But it comes with all the necessary stuff that you do to do a really cool routine. But I'm heading over to Alakazam on the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th of April, and I'm filming a bunch of stuff with them. And one of the things I'm filming is the next coin set, which hopefully, if we pull our fingers out, will be out by Magic Live in August. Because one thing that I'm trying to do is get more people into coin magic. And one of the ways that I'm trying to do that is by bringing out coin sets. Because one of the things that a lot of people do is, and the reason they gravitate away from coin magic is they get like a flipper coin, but they don't really have any instructions for it. They just buy a flipper coin, they play around with it and don't do anything with it. So by having coin sets, what it allows you to do is it allows you to have all of this instruction and all of these routines, and I just think that's a better way to go. So yeah, we've got another coin set, and I can't tell you anything about it other than I've been using this for about 12 years, and it's going to be available in $half size and silver dollar size. So it's going to be available in 2 sizes. I use the silver dollar size. I did originally, when I started using it, use $half size. Now I use dollar size, but it's going to be available in dollar size and $half size. And there's going to be about 25 routines on there. It's probably going to be the biggest tutorial I've ever done. And what else can I tell you? There's a section in there beyond the 25 routines of how you can actually take this new coin set and combine it with Apparition and Mirage. So because we're building up all these individual coin sets, I thought it would be really cool to showcase how you can actually use them all and kind of amalgamate them, if that makes sense. That'd be a bonus thing, because obviously there's going to be people that buy it maybe that haven't got Apparition or haven't got Mirage. So I didn't want to make a big deal of that, but I did want to include a section on there as well. So yeah, there is another coin set coming out, and beyond that, me and Pete are talking. But definitely the next coin set is being filmed in April with a view to it being launched at Magic Live. Okay, so the next question is from Benjamin Shapiro, and Benjamin says, "Hey Craig, I'm doing a large parlour stroke small cabaret show, and I'd like you to look at my set. By the way, this is the first time I've ever done this, but as a close-up guy, I thought it'd be fun. The set is supposed to be 7 minutes. I am planning on doing individual videos away from the Q&A. I've had a couple of people email in their sets, and I'm actually taking those sets, and I'm going to have videos that are going out over the coming weeks analysing their sets and breaking it down. So if you want me to do that for you, send your set list in, and I'm going to use it as the basis of a video moving forward in the next couple of weeks. That's going to be a feature I want to see happening very, very soon. But as this is just a 7-minute set, let's have a look at it now. So your opener is Chicago opener. Some of you might know that as Red Hot Mama, Chicago opener. It's a fantastic opening routine. And if you don't know what Chicago opener is, the idea is that somebody picks a card, they put it back in the deck. It's the only card that turns red. If you're using a blue deck, it's the only card that turns red. And then you put that red card to one side, they pick another card, you say you're going to do it again, it fails. And when they look at the card that's been put to one side, it's actually the second selection. Very, very good. Nice kick, and they don't see it coming. That's a great opener. I do think that if you've only got 7 minutes and you want to grab their attention, it might be nice to do some sort of deck production first of all, just to like really. I always say this with a card trick. You know, if your opening trick is pick a card, which it is with Chicago opener, it's like, hey, I'm going to show you a card trick. Pick a card. I always try to avoid doing that. And if I am going to be opening with card magic, I either want to open with something that doesn't involve them picking a card, or I'm going to throw something else in there first in order to grab their attention. So sudden deck 3 is a perfect example. Empty is a perfect example. Anything like that where you're making a deck of cards appear first, and then you're using that deck of cards, and then you can go into Chicago opener. It could even be something as simple as just having a piece of flash paper, and you have the deck of cards up your sleeve, and you drop your hand down as you show the flash paper. You hold it in the hand. You've got the pack of cards in lateral palm, and then you just light the flash paper and produce the pack of cards. I remember watching Mark Sitcher and his dental act many, many years ago. And he did a video through Tricker Tape. And unfortunately, Mark Sitcher's no longer here. It was a tragic loss. But he did his dental act, and the whole idea of his dental act is he came out in like a white lab coat, and he pretended to be a dentist, and he started off by producing little bottles of Listerine and different colours, and it was a great opening bit, especially in the context of the dental act. But he then pointed out in the lecture that you could do that with packs of cards. And I did this for a while in competitions, and it worked really well. You didn't need the white coat, but if you have like a deck of cards up this sleeve and a deck of cards up this sleeve, and you have a deck on a deck dropper, you can come out and you can say, hey, I'm going to show you a trick with a deck of cards. I've got a blue deck over there. Should we use a blue deck, or should we use a red deck? Or how about a green deck? Which one would you like to use? Something like that to grab people's attention. I think that's very important when you're doing card magic. So opener, Chicago opener. And then the second routine is a cipher name divination using a notepad. So using cipher to do a name divination, using a notepad. Okay, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a name divination, but why don't you try and link it up in some way? Why don't you try and link it up? And what I mean by that, whenever you're thinking about a set list, how are you going to go from one trick into another trick, right? How are you going to go from your first routine into your second routine? What's the transition? How are you transitioning between those two routines? Because there doesn't seem to be much of a transition going on there. It's like, right, okay, I've done this card trick. Now I'm going to go into mentalism, and the card trick that you're doing to begin with isn't really a mentalism trick. It's more of a magic trick, right? It's magician in trouble. Oh, I actually got it right. So it's kind of a bit of a weird routine to go into unless you've got a presentational thing that I'm not seeing here. So one thing that you might want to do off the top of my head, for example, is get yourself an invisible deck. And this is something that I covered on my invisible deck project, Visible. But take an invisible deck, open it up, and literally separate all of the cards, right? So literally just separate all of the cards. And then what you want to do, you need a crib for this. I mean, I would use mnemonica because I know mnemonica, so it's absolutely fine. But what you could do, I'm just thinking through in my head. Let me think. Okay, so what you could do is, could you do that? I'm just trying to think of some way to see what I'm trying to work out here. how your reasoning for going into a name divination. And I'm thinking, if you had a kicker with the deck of cards that brought everything back to the cards in the first place, that'd be really cool. So if you wrote, for example, and I'm kind of just making this up on the top of my head, but if you took an invisible deck and on the backs of all of the cards you wrote, for example, the 52 most common girls' names, right? So you wrote the 52 most common girls' names, and then you put those you put that back together as an invisible deck, but you make sure that you write, so you'd write a different girl's name on the back of every single card. But what you'd do is you'd make yourself a crib that would go on the back of the card case that tells you which card each name has been written on, right? So you've got an invisible deck, and on the back of every card has got a girl's name. And you've got a crib on the other side that tells you what name is on which card, right? On the front of it, you'd write prediction, okay? So you'd come out and you'd bring that deck of cards out and you'd say, hey, I've got a prediction here. We're going to get back to that in a minute, but I on the way here, I had a feeling about you, and I had nothing to write on, so I took a card out of this deck, I wrote on the back of it, I turned it over and I put it in the deck. We'll get back to that later on. I'm going to put that there. Can you hold on to it for me? Brilliant. Now I also need another deck of cards. Deck production, brilliant. Now you go into Chicago Opener, and Chicago Opener's done, brilliant. Now you give the regular deck to someone to shuffle. So you say, shuffle the cards for me, we're going to get back to you in a minute. I'd like you to do me a favor. What I'd like you to do is think of a girl's name, but make it a common name. You know, a name that you know most people would know or will have heard of before. Can you do that for me? Yes. Now you go into your name divination. So now you go into, so now they write the thing down, you know what it is, but before you actually reveal the name, you say, oh, when you know what the name is, you pick up the deck over here with the crib on the back and you go, remember, I've got a prediction in here. I just want you to remember that. We'll get back to that later on. And you're looking at the crib. Let's say they say Donna's on the 7 of spades. So now you take the deck back that they're shuffling and you say, now look at all these cards. They're all different. You've shuffled them really well. Oh, can you do me a favor? Can you cut the cards? And you've cut the 7 of spades or whatever the card is to the top. Now you do a cross-cut force. You say, great, so you've shuffled the cards, you've cut to a particular card, we'll look at that later on. Now you do your name revelation, you do your name thing, and you go, boom, what's the, you tell them the name of the person they're thinking of. Let's say it's Donna, for example. So that's where you get your hit there. Then you tell them to have a look at the card that they cut to, and you say, remember I told you I made a prediction here? You could have thought of any name, you thought of Donna. If I told you that the card that I turned round, I wrote Donna on the back of it, would that be good? And they'll say, yeah, and you spread it out, and you show that there is one card reversed in there because it's using the invisible deck. And when you take it out, you wrote Donna on the other side, and they thought of that name. So that's a really cool moment right there. They thought of a name, and you wrote it on the back of that card. And you say, you know what the weird thing is? You picked a card, didn't you? What was the card that you picked from the deck that you shuffled? 7 of spades. It's so weird, isn't it, that I wrote it on the back of the 7 of spades. How amazing is that? So that's an example of taking combining the deck of cards with the name divination, kind of bringing everything back in. I think that would work quite well. And then what's your last one? Assy wins Acan as a tossed out deck. Assy wins Acan as a tossed out deck. I don't even know how that would work. Because the tossed out deck, the Hoy tossed out deck principle, you get 4 or 5 people to pick a card and you get them all to sit down one at a time. And then Acan is a completely different thing. I don't know how that would work. If I was going to try and combine the tossed out, maybe you could clarify. If I was going to combine the tossed out deck and the Hoy book test, if I was going to combine the tossed out deck with Acan, I'm trying to think what I'd do. What would I do? Yeah. So I think if you're going in the context of this, at the end of the prediction where you've predicted the card, you put that deck of cards away and you take the regular deck and you switch it for the tossed out deck, and then you can throw that out and do the tossed out deck. Get 5 people to look at cards. There's 4 force cards in there. No, there's 4 force cards. Okay, so get you know, do the tossed out deck so you've got one person left standing. And then the cards have obviously been put to one side because you're dealing with the people sitting down and blah, blah, blah. You're doing the classic tossed out deck. The deck's been put down to one side. When you take the deck back and you put it on the table, you could say, let me try something different with you. You're thinking of a card, name a number from 1 to 52. Name a position, and they name the position. And then you do the As You Win They Can as you take the cards out the box. And you put it in position and you say, the last card, I didn't tell you what the last card is because you found your own card. How have you found your own card? Look at this. And then you deal to the number, and the card that they're thinking of is at that number. That's how I probably try and combine the two. But I don't see unless that's what you're doing, I don't see how you do tossed out deck with As You Win They Can. If you could clarify, that would be amazing, because, I mean, it sounds like a great set. It really does. It sounds like a really good set. But yeah, I mean, that's all I'd say. Think about having a really flashy opening. Think about how you're transitioning, because, as I say, with the set that you're talking about here, you're going from a card trick, then you're doing a completely different mentalism style thing, and then you're going back to card magic. So think about how you can bridge all of that, and how you can actually transition from one routine to the other. Okay, so the next question is from Oliver Vinicor, and Oliver says, where can I learn the 3-disc Monte? Well, I have done the 3-disc Monte for years, and I can tell you exactly where you want to go. So first of all, if you want to get the best discs, I've got 3 of these sets. Ryland's got 1, I've got 2. Go to magicswindles.com. That is the best place to get the discs that you need, and it comes in a little silver case and everything. They're beautiful. That's the best place to get the discs for 3-disc Monte. They also have the best throw mats as well. So that would be where I would go there, magicswindles.com. And then I've looked this up for you because I checked. If you want to learn the 3-disc Monte, the best resource to go to is go to library.com. That's LYBRARY, library.com. And there's a booklet, an ebook that you can download and you can get immediately, and it comes with an MP4. It's called 3-disc Monte by Max T. Oz. And there's a video teaching you all the basics you need to perform 3-disc Monte, the proper way to toss it and hype with the discs and mixing of the discs. It teaches you absolutely everything. Tenkai to table gag, 3 discs on one hand, the top change, the Mexican reverse hype turnover, everything. It is the absolute best resource for learning 3-disc Monte. It's where I learned it before I put my own routine together. So there you go. If you want to learn it, go to library.com. It's called 3-disc Monte by Max T. Oz. Okay, so the next question is from Stephen Peters, and Stephen says, have you ever had to give a good friend a bad review? Have you lost any friends this way? And the answer is yes, I've had to give friends bad reviews. I mean, one of my closest friends is Lloyd Barnes, and he was the person who put together the project. He was in the trailer, and he did part of the tutorial and the performances and everything. For that trick that I absolutely trashed last year, I can't remember what it was. It was the blister effect with celebrities, and it was just truly dreadful. Luckily, I didn't lose Lloyd as a friend over it, but I had to be completely honest. There's a few times that I've really ripped into Penguin Magic products, and I consider Eric Tate and Nick Locopo and Sean Dunn very good friends, Eric especially. And, I've said rather negative things about tricks that they've been involved with, tricks that Eric has actually presented, and I've said negative stuff about it. But it hasn't affected our friendship at all. I'm trying to think of anyone who has fallen out with me. Yeah, there is somebody. I don't think it's fair to say it, but there is somebody who I didn't give them a bad review, but it wasn't a glowing review. And they came back to me and they were like, take the review down. I'm like, no, I'm not taking it down. Okay, we'll change it then and put up a different review. No, I'm not doing that. Right, okay. And they haven't spoken to me in about a year. I don't want to say who it is. I don't think it's fair. So yes, I have lost a friend over giving a bad review to somebody. But, it happens. I've got lots of friends within the industry, lots of friends that release and create magic. I mean, I can be completely honest with anything that they release, just like they would do the same to me. So yeah, luckily I've not lost any friends over it really, other than one person. But, you know, it's more important to be completely honest, right? Okay, so the next question is from Seth Howard. And Seth Howard says, hey man, hope you've been well. What coin set would you recommend? I'm still relatively new into coin magic, and most of the sets are pretty pricey. Apparition looks great, but I find it hard to justify spending 100 plus on something when I'm not sure how often I'd actually use it. Look, Apparition has got some really cool self-working magic that you could do immediately with very little skill. And that's the problem with getting into coin magic. The problem with getting into coin magic is it's difficult. I've talked about this on the channel before. It's not easy. There is a lot of self-working card magic. You can go and learn a bunch of self-working card tricks, and you can immediately go and do them. You can take somebody with no skill, sit them down for an hour, teach them some self-working tricks, and they could go out and they could do it brilliantly. That is not the case with coin magic, because most coin tricks, even the basic ones, will involve you holding a coin out or palming a coin, and then that leads to magician's guilt and so on and so forth. Apparition does have self-working tricks that doesn't require any palming. But the bottom line is you have to understand that if you want to get into coin magic, you have to accept the fact that you're going to have to learn how to palm coins, you're going to have to learn how to vanish coins, and there is a lot more sleight of hand required at a beginner level than there is with card magic. Without pitching my own stuff, I'd join the Netrix and I'd have a look at the sleight section on all of the coin magic, and I'd learn some vanishes, I'd learn some false transfers, I'd learn some basic sleight of hand with coins, and then I'd use that to put together a routine or two. But there's no way you're going to be able to do coin magic without actually getting to the point where you're, without actually getting to the point where you're, what am I trying to say? Where without actually getting to the point where you're I've gone completely blank. I'm very sorry about this. You know, what I'm trying to say here is if without actually getting to the point where you're actually learning sleight of hand, there's no point. You can't learn coin magic without learning sleight of hand, without learning a degree of sleight of hand and palming and so on and so forth. You're never going to have instant gratification. Outside of the odd trick or two, you're never going to have instant gratification with coin magic. It's why there's very few coin magicians, because it takes effort, it takes energy, and it takes hard work to get to a level. And then it's a difficult thing to actually go and do for real people. You know, you learn a self-working trick or a trick that requires very little sleight of hand with a pack of cards. You feel confident doing that to a real person. And the more you do it, the more confident you get at it, and eventually you go out and do it. With coin magic, that's not the case. You can feel really, oh my God, right, I've learned this, I now have to perform it to them, and you can have this massive guilt thing, and it makes it very, very difficult to go out and perform that to people. And the way around it is just to practice and just to learn more sleights and so on and so forth. But without making this a pitch for the Apparition coin set, it's one of the few sets that I know of that you can actually do self-working magic. It gives you confidence doing coin magic, and that will make it a lot easier to actually break that barrier and start doing even more coin magic. Okay, so the next question is from Mike Smith, and Mike says, so I accidentally dropped the flipper from the Mirage coin set Extreme. It's fine, but I had to change the band in the coin, and now now it won't gravity drop on its own, and it won't sit flat. Clearly the band is too small, and I plan on finding a better size. Is there something specific I should get to fix the coin? For your information, I'm super excited to get an Apparition coin set. I must have been one of the last people to get one before they sold out on Alakazam. Well, thanks very much for your support. I would go for the RK bands by Roy Cooper's. They are designed specifically for Roy Cooper's gimmicks, and the Mirage coins are made by Roy. So Alakazam should carry them. There should have been a couple spare in your Mirage box, to be honest, but Alakazam do carry them. So your first stop would be to go on the online chat at Alakazam or give them a call. They can probably help you with that. Failing that, the next step is to contact Roy directly. But that's what you need. The arcade bands, they're the perfect size for the Mirage Flipper. Okay, so the next question is from Jonah Berg, and Jonah says, what's your top 5 favourite card magic books? Damn, I could probably answer this 3 times and give you a different answer each time, but off the top of my head, specifically just card magic and not a mix of material, I'd say Card Magic by Richard Kaufman is brilliant. Card Shark by Darwin Ortiz. obviously, Card College, specifically Volume 5, which is my favourite volume, is really good. Anything by Jason Ladania is fantastic. And Scams and Fantasies by Darwin Ortiz. There's your 5. Okay, so the next question is from Bobby Jenkins, and Bobby says, I have a question and comment for you this time. Firstly, I asked you a couple of weeks ago about Bitcoin, James Keatley, and you said to contact him through Instagram, etc. No joy at all. Can you see if you can find out how to purchase it or when it's being released? With you being in the know, as I can't, no matter how I try. Yeah, I'll reach out to him. I'm surprised by that because he is very active on Instagram. I helped him with the tutorial and with the trailer. But it's not something, it's not a product of mine. So, and I know he's an independent guy, so he just brings out the stuff himself. But let me reach out to him. I've got his phone number. I'll give him a call. I'm really surprised I didn't get a hold of you on Instagram. I'm really surprised by that. Okay, let me reach out to him. And I've had a few people ask this question. I'm even considering asking him if I can carry it on the Magic TV store. Because that way, at least somebody's got somewhere where they can go and buy them. But I'll speak to him. But secondly, the comment. I have a Mirage coin set which I'm addicted to. Thank you very much. Love it. Have ordered Apparition after the live launch and can't wait for that. Brilliant coin routines and always brilliant tutorials. You make them so easy to follow to get the best results. Thank you. Well, Bobby, thank you so much for your support. I'm trying to get more people into coin magic, one set at a time. And thank you so much for the kind words. Okay, so the next question is from David Blaine, and David says, Hi Craig, thanks for all the work and time you put into magic, YouTube videos, releasing magic effects, etc. You're more than welcome. My question is, I know you mentioned this before, but when is the Svengali deck going to be released? The Svengali deck project, I think you mean. And what type of different effects are going to be taught? Thanks again. Well, that's a great question. Definitely this year. Definitely 100% this year. It got delayed for a variety of different reasons. A couple of the Svengali, there's going to be about 20 or 30 routines on the Svengali deck project. A couple of them, two of them I put on my Vanishing Ink Masterclass just to whet people's appetites about the sort of stuff that you can do with a Svengali deck. But I'm going to be going into great detail on the Svengali deck and all things Svengali deck related. So, yeah, it's going to be a mammoth project. It's definitely coming this year. It's just when I can find time with the 1914 to film it. But it'll definitely be coming, and it'll be worth the wait. Okay, so the next question is from Mike Tyson by TKO, and he says, I wanted to commend you on Apparition. I was lucky enough to order on launch night. I've watched the 4 videos, and I must say that the video of you and Peter is my favourite. You guys jamming with tips and tricks was so good. I love the coin flip move of yours onto the purse. It's so damn good. Kudos, my friend. Thank you so much, buddy. I really appreciate that. I really do. Justin's material on there is fantastic. Justin is a genius, and I'm just really glad. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Big thank you to Justin. He is amazing, just amazing on so many levels. And if it wasn't for Justin, this wouldn't have seen the light of day. So again, Justin, love you, brother, and thank you so much for the nice words about Apparition. Next question is from Warren Treadaway, and Warren says, Hey Craig, great show as always, thank you very much. You have released 2 amazing coin sets with Mirage and then the just released Apparition. If you had to pick one, which would be your favourite? Oh my God, it's like picking between my 2 kids. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult. I love them, but they're very different, aren't they? They're very, very different. The material, what you can do with them. I do think that there's the Apparition coin set is capable of so many visuals because of that moment, but so is Mirage because of the gimmick that's involved in it. I'd probably lean slightly towards Apparition, and the only reason is I got a chance to almost work with Justin Miller. The whole synergy that came about as a result of Justin allowing me to release this and him releasing the Dream Kit years before. I think that tips it for me because that was such an amazing. Doing that after show with Justin was one of my Genuinely one of my career highlights. Just jamming with Justin, and it was great. So I'd probably lean slightly towards Apparition, but it's very, very difficult. If you ask me on a different day, I might go in a different direction. But right now, you're asking me today, I'd say Apparition. Okay, so the next question is from Mike Tyson by TKO again, and he says, "Hey Craig, between Keymaster, Key, and Mon-Key, I'm a key guy." Yeah, me too, man. Forget about coins or cards. Anyway, what's your thoughts on using Mon-Key as the third key with Key? So much possibility with those two together, I imagine. Yeah, man, that's great. Key and Mon-Key would work together really, really well. And I know that there's more key magic coming soon. Hanson Chen has got some amazing stuff that's coming out later this year. I've got more stuff with keys coming out through Penguin later this year. So as a key guy like me, the future's really bright for us. But yeah, to get back to your original question, I think using Mon-Key as the third key is a genius idea. I think that's really good. Okay, so the next question is from Mooney D911. And Mooney D911 says, "Since you mentioned this in this video, what are your favorite tricks to do with the double back card?" Well, I've done multiple videos on YouTube on the best tricks with double back cards, and I've put a ton of them out there. I will tell you that I have filmed with RSVP a project on routines with double backed cards. Now, I don't know when that'll see the light of day. It might go on RSVP as a streaming only option on the RSV online platform, like the Blank Deck project did. It might come out as a physical product. I don't know. From my point of view, it's 10 or 12 routines, all unique routines to me, with double backed cards. And it's filmed, it's shot, live performances have been done. When it sees the light of day, I'm not too sure. The best person to ask for that is Russ Stevens. But if you're waiting for something like that to come out, in the meantime, have a look at my videos on YouTube. Just type in Craig Petty, Magic TV, best tricks with double back cards. I think I've done like 2 or 3 videos at this point. So that'll hopefully wet your whistle a little bit while you're waiting for some other content. So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag. Once again, I'm very, very sorry I missed last Sunday. I'll try not to do that ever again. But do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and I'm going to be back again later on today with a review show special. I'm going to be back next Sunday with another Q&A, and I'll be back on Monday with a bunch more videos. But once again, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.